never stop reading the Bible.
All right, today we're jumping into one of the most intense and powerful prophetic books in the Old Testament, the book of Nahum. It's short, for sure, but its message about judgment and comfort is absolutely massive. So how do those two things even fit together? Let's find out. Okay, so right off the bat, we hit this huge paradox. The prophet's name itself, Nahum. It literally means comfort or peace, but the message he's about to deliver is one of the most devastating prophecies of destruction you'll find in the entire Bible. So how in the world do you get a message of total destruction from a prophet named Comfort? That's the big question we're tackling.
So, chapter 1, it wastes no time. It just lays it all out, showing us these two kind of opposite sides of God's character. It's a chapter of huge contrasts, and it really sets the foundation for everything else in the book.
What's interesting here is that Nahum doesn't start by listing off sins. Instead, he just paints this picture of God's raw power, a God who commands the storms, who makes mountains quake. And this isn't just pretty language, you know? He's making a point. This is who is in charge. It's a huge warning shot, basically saying, when this God decides to bring justice, you better believe nothing's going to stop him.
And boom, here's that contrast in black and white. On one side, you've got Nineveh, the capital of the brutal Assyrian Empire. For them, God shows up as righteous anger, unavoidable judgment. But then, for his own people, for Judah, the very ones being crushed by Assyria, that same God is their protector, their safe place, their source of peace. It's the same God. The only difference is which side of his justice you're on. That's a powerful idea, right?
All right, let's jump into chapter 2. This is where Nahum goes from talking about God's character to giving this vivid, play-by-play prophecy of Nineveh's destruction. This part is incredible. It reads like a movie script, like a live-action report of the city's fall. But it's all written before it happens.
So the scene opens, and it is just total chaos. An invading army just appears, and the mighty city of Nineveh, the center of their world, is suddenly fighting for its life. Nahum paints this picture of an unstoppable force just crashing against the city walls.
And it doesn't stop at the gates. Nope. The invasion goes straight for the heart of the empire. The palace, the symbol of all their power and stolen wealth, is completely ransacked. Talk about irony.
And then it gets personal. All those powerful nobles and leaders, the ones who thought they were untouchable, they're captured, humiliated. Their power just vanishes. And then comes the final nail in the coffin. This isn't just about losing a battle. Nahum is talking about a complete wipeout. The great Assyrian Empire, this global superpower, is just gone.
But here's the most important part, the thing you can't miss. Nahum is shouting from the rooftops that this isn't just politics or war. This whole thing is God's direct judgment in action. The message couldn't be clearer. If you set yourself up against God, you will not win. Period.
So that naturally leads us to chapter 3, which answers the big why. I mean, why so absolute? Why so final? This chapter is basically the courtroom scene where the prosecutor reads out the list of charges against Nineveh.
So we've seen the what and the how of Nineveh's fall. Now we get the why. You might be thinking, wait a minute, didn't Nineveh repent once before, back in Jonah's day? Well, yeah. So why no second chances this time?
And here's the charge sheet. This wasn't about a few bad decisions. Nineveh's entire empire was built on a corrupt, sinful foundation. It wasn't just a nation, it was a predator. The book lays it out. Constant stealing, nonstop violence, endless bloodshed, and lying as a way of life. So this judgment wasn't random at all. It was the direct result of who they were and what they did.
And there's this really fascinating shift in tone in this last chapter. That intense action movie vibe from chapter 2, it's gone. Now it's just mockery. The prophet is basically taunting the ruins of this once great city, like, hey, where are your big armies now? Where's all that power?
When all is said and done, it boils down to this. One fallen empire. One of the biggest, baddest empires in history, just wiped off the map. It's a shocking final end.
But, one empire's fall is another nation's freedom. For Judah, and for all the other nations that had been living in fear under Assyria's thumb, this wasn't bad news. This was amazing news. It was liberation. This is the good news, the peace that Nahum, comfort, was talking about all the way back in chapter 1. See how it all connects?
So as we wrap things up here, we can see how it all comes together. Those two ideas that seem so opposite at the beginning, judgment and comfort, they're not opposites at all. They're actually two sides of the very same coin.
And if you remember one thing, let it be this.
The message of judgment for evil is fierce, yeah, because God's justice is real. But for the people who are suffering under that evil, that very same justice is the ultimate source of comfort and hope. It means he sees and he will act.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. I mean, the Assyrian Empire, it's ancient history, but the ideas in this book, they're not. The real question for us today is, how does this ancient prophecy about a fallen empire help us think about justice and hope in our own world?
Thank you for joining us.